Welcome, fellow citizens of the Republic. Today's our first episode in the Truth Serum special, which covers interesting contemporary events all around the world. So for this episode, we have decided to pick the US election, which recently has caught the eye of many. First of all, let's take a moment to understand why should it matter to Sri Lanka who is president in the USA. As most of us can recall, we were under heavy human rights scrutiny after ending the war. Sri Lanka was under close inspection by the UN and the USA elites. But as some of you have realized, this attention faded away, especially from the USA's end, when the presidency in the US changed hands. The only major move by USA since 2016 was the entry ban placed on the Lankan army chief in February 2020. And Sri Lanka being the target of another two superpowers in the world, namely China and India, it would seem intelligent to have another country not getting involved in matters within the borders of Sri Lanka. Also, USA has been in the forefront of the free world, so preserving its legacy and values is important to the US citizens as well as for all of us who look to them for inspiration. And do keep in mind, if the US succumbs to China, that would mean the free world is no more. Let's quickly look at the two individuals who are contesting in the 2020 election. This is also a good way to understand why it might be interesting to know what is happening in the USA. Here is a snapshot of who these two people are and what they have done. The relevant links are given in the description below, which backs these points and provides more information. If you are still not convinced as to why we Sri Lankans should have an idea about what is going on in the USA, just know that you are missing out on a ton of amusement and entertainment as well. Well then, what has happened so far in the 2020 election? It is safe to say that the contest is not yet over. Though many media outlets have already called the race and selected the winner, none of the states have confirmed the final results. As most of you may know, the number of popular votes, that is total votes, does not determine the winner. Each state has its own number of electoral votes. So the winner should accumulate at least 270 electoral votes by winning in these states. Once each of these states declares the final results, the winner will be announced by the Congress ultimately. Since there had been disputes around the systems used to count votes and fraudulent activity, the Trump campaign have raised several lawsuits in some of these states. Also, for instance in the state of Wisconsin, a recount was automatically initiated as the margins were too close to call a winner. So, calling a winner at this moment, like the media have done, is premature and misleading. And there is always the possibility that the final decision arrived after these recounts, lawsuits and investigations can be favorable for either candidate. By now we know there is evidence already in relation to votes by dead people, votes by people outside the relevant state, backdated ballots and signed ballots, ballots signed by the same person, system glitches, late-night surges in counting, poll watchers denied access or been provided limited access. Refer the articles in the description for more information. So what can we expect in the coming weeks? We can expect to see lawsuits brought forward to courts, court hearings and audits. Recounts. Since the media is pushing the victor and the current incumbent not willing to back down until all legal votes are counted, we might see some civil unrest as well. When considering all these litigations happening on the current election, we can probably expect a turnaround like we saw happening in the election year 2000 where George W. Bush was declared the president after around 3 weeks from the election date due to allegations related to fraud and voter suppression by his opponent. And after all this, if Biden is officially declared as the next president, well, certainly it won't be the end of the world. But there's sure to be some negative impacts for the US as well as for countries like us. And certainly, we should keep an eye on Kamala Harris, who in this scenario will be the vice president. So, as you may have understood already, we do have our biases towards the victory of the Trump campaign as we do agree with most of his policies.
Racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists.
But we will humbly accept defeat if the eventual official confirmation is in favor of Biden. And we hope you were able to see that the situation we have described about the current election is valid, as we have provided you with facts rather than just opinions. The citizens of the USA and world over have the right to know the truth and correct results, whoever the eventual victor may be. So let us be patient. And do not arrive at any conclusions based on the one-sided stories illustrated by the mainstream media. We know how media works in Sri Lanka. Unfortunately, foreign media isn't so different. Besides, even big tech has already played a major part in this election, even before the election day, when they censored people who did not align with their political view. And they even went to the extent of limiting or blocking the dissemination of verified information, such as the Hunter Biden scandal. Also, please spare a thought towards the pollsters who once again were absolutely wrong in their predictions. They were not even close in their predictions. But they would have certainly influenced many people in selecting a candidate to vote for. So finally, if you really want to make the right decision, do your own research, look at both sides of the spectrum and arrive at your decision. If you don't have time to do all that, you can always rely on the Republic of Common Sense to support you with facts and the truth.